I'm perfectly audible, right? Good evening, Urmi, Ram, Sahil. Let's wait for a minute. More people are joining. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, how many of you have read this novel, The Alchemist? I even shared a link through which you could access the PDF. I'm good, Noman. Yeah, today class is common. You read that? Okay, perfect. BMW, you're looking for BMW, Ayush? Okay. Cool. So almost everyone has read it, and I actually kind of posted an attachment, a file for which everybody could read. It's one of my favorite books. This is my first, I would say, first novel that not first actually, the first fantasy novel that I read was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So we start the session now. The passage one is the language of the world. When I shared this novel in the file section of the group, people who have not read, no worries, because this is an RC. I've taken a lot of passages from The Alchemist itself. So this is the first passage. It's called as the language of the world. Here goes the first passage. At that moment, it seemed to him that time stood still, and the soul of the world surged within him. When he looked into her dark eyes and saw that her lips were poised between a laugh and silence. Have you seen that smile in your life? That kind of smile. Just a minute. The smile in which the lips are poised between a laugh and a silence. Yeah, and with that was told by Shah Rukh Khan in the movie Om Shanti Om, I think. किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात तुम्हें मिलाने की right. That was taken from Alchemist only. So this kind of smile, the lips were poised between laugh and silence. So if you guys have seen that, just a minute. Now it's back. Okay. He learned the most important part of the language that all the world spoke, the language that everyone on earth was capable of understanding in their heart. So look at how romantic these lines are. I have never seen any writer writing romance in such a way that is so mysterious at the same time spiritual. I'll repeat this. At that moment, it seemed to him that time stood still. Time ruk gaya. Some people have, messaged me and they have told me that they want me to explain things in Hindi as well. So I'll be turning bilingual for this session, okay? At that, it seemed to him that time stood still. Time रुक गया, समय रुक गया, and the soul of the world surged within him. उसके अंदर से soul of the world आई. When he looked into her dark eyes and saw that her lips were poised between a laugh and silence, मुस्कुरा भी रही थी और चुप भी थी, he learned the most important part of the language that all the world spoke, the language that everyone on earth was capable of understanding in their heart. It was love. So, writer feels that love is a language and everybody is capable of understanding it. Okay. Something older than humanity, more ancient than the desert. Now, desert is used over here because the entire book is, the backdrop is desert. That is why desert has been used over here. Something older than humanity, more ancient than the desert. So, writer के हिसाब से जो प्रेम है वो इंसानियत और रेगिस्तान से भी पुराना है. Something older than humanity, more ancient than the desert. Something that exerted the same force whenever two pairs of eyes met. Whenever two pairs of eyes met. As had theirs here at the well. She smiled, and that was certainly an omen. तो जब दो आंखें मिलती हैं तो वहां पे भी हो रहा था जहां पे ये शायद कुएं के पास वो लड़की खड़ी होगी. She smiled, and that was certainly an omen, the omen he had been awaiting. The omen he had been awaiting. She smiled, and that was certainly an omen, okay? Without even knowing he was for all his life. So he did not even know that he was waiting for this omen throughout his life. What is an omen? Omen is a sign from God. भगवान का दिया हुआ संकेत, दैट इज ओमन. तो उसे पता भी नहीं था कि इसी दिन के लिए पूरी जिंदगी तक वेट कर रहा था, जैसे नीरव भी कर रहा है. हमारे जीवन में फातिमा कब आएगी, और संस्कार ने बता भी दिया आई एम जाने के बाद. या फिर अब रेगिस्तान चले जाओ. फॉर ऑल हिज लाइफ द ओमन ही हैड sought to find with his sheep and in his books. With his sheep, इसका मतलब what does it mean? That the boy here he is a shepherd. Right? Ashwini and Shivam, I just told what is an omen. Omen is a signal given by God. Omens can be bad, it can be good. And in his books, in the crystals and in the silence of the desert. It was the pure language of the world. It required no explanation, just as the universe needs none as it travels through endless time. So, जिस तरह से हमारे ब्रह्मांड को, यूनिवर्स को किसी भी तरह से एक्सप्लेन नहीं किया जा सकता, उसी तरीके से उसी प्रकार हम प्रेम को भी एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकते. सो आई एम यूजिंग बोथ द लैंग्वेजेस सो दैट एवरीबडी इज कंफर्टेबल. What the boy felt at that moment was that he was in the presence of the only woman in his life, and that with no need for. Achha, that has happened. I'm asking the guys in this session. Has it happened with you that you met a girl and you felt that she is the only woman in your entire life? Like it happens for a temporary phase of time, but has it happened with you as well? What the boy felt at that moment was that he was in the presence of the only woman in his life, and that with no need for words, she recognized the same thing. बिना बोले उसको भी समझ में ये बात आ रही है. He was more certain of it than of anything in the world. ऐसा होता है ना कि अब हमें प्यार हो चुका है, कुछ और पता ही नहीं है दुनिया में, हर चीज सिर्फ एक ही है, हमें पता है ये होना है. All those things happen in novels, in films, and even we feel it that nothing else is required apart from love. So he is having the same kind of feeling. Okay. He had been told by his parents and grandparents that he must fall in love and really know a person before becoming committed. That means they were quite modern at that time when they felt like, okay, it should be a love marriage. But maybe people who felt that way had never learned the universal language. Because when you know that language, it's easy to understand that someone in the world awaits you. शाहरुख खान वाली स्टाइल में कोई ना कोई आपका इंतजार कर रहा है. Whether it is in the middle of the desert or in some great city. है ना, शाहरुख खान जैसा कोई ना कोई आपके लिए बना है, रेगिस्तान में होगा या शहर में होगा पता नहीं, बट कोई ना कोई तो है. And when two such people encounter each other and their eyes meet, the past and the future become unimportant. ना भूतकाल की चिंता ना भविष्य की, जो भी है अभी है. So that happens. Okay. There is only that moment and the incredible certainty that everything under the sun has been written by one hand only. It is the hand that evokes love and creates a twin soul for every person in the world. है ना, आपके लिए कोई ना कोई है. Without such love, one's dreams would have no meaning. It's a very beautiful passage. I chose it because it talks about the language of the soul. So it's love, basically. Now let's look at the questions. Okay, by the way, I have used a graphic here, and here, this is the guy, this guy, and this is the girl, Fatima. This is Santiago. He is saying, well, usually I learn more from my sheep than from books. ये बहुत important line है. What does that mean? Tell me, anybody can can have an inference about this line? I learn more from my sheep than from books. So what is he trying to say over here? Yeah, anybody? Shashank, after this session is over, it will be saved in the form of recording on the Facebook group itself. So don't worry about that. Yeah, exactly, Ashutosh. I learn from nature and experience more than bookish knowledge. So sheep here is essentially the experience that he's having, the observations that he's making throughout his life. Those are represented by ships, and books. Of course, books are the books in form of any kind of literature. Okay, here comes the first question. शशांक, शीट्स नहीं, इवेंट्स ग्रुप में आप देखो, इवेंट्स मिल जाएंगे आपको. Okay, perfect. So let us talk about the first question. What is the significance of the line, something older than humanity, more ancient than the desert, in context of the passage? The first option is the author wants to convey that humanity and desert are not the oldest things in the world. B, the author believes that since love is older than humanity and the desert, it is the most important emotion. C, the author wants to stress the point that love precedes everything, hence is the language of the world. Option D, both A and C. Okay, there's one thing which is, kind of a homework which is mandatory for everyone. For every passage that we are discussing over here, you guys have to write a short summary and send it on the Facebook group. Is that okay? If you've heard this, what I've said, just remind me by commenting something, or just raising a thumbs up that okay, you are going to write a summary. We are discussing 4 passages today, and you'll be writing the summary of all the passages and posting it on the group. Okay, done? Well, so a lot of people are saying C, some are saying B. Okay, nobody is saying A or D. Let us check the correct answer. It is C. I have underlined that. And why not B? I'll just talk about it. The author believes that since love is older than humanity and the desert, it is the most important emotion. Okay. He actually says that it is older, but it is the most important emotion. He's not exactly saying that. He's not talking about emotions. He's not comparing emotions here. Moreover, The question talks about what is the significance of the line. What is the significance of the line? So the entire passage talks about the universal language, the language of the world. So author wants to stress the point that love precedes everything. What is preceding? Like love comes before everything else. Because it comes before everything else, therefore it is the precursor of all the life, precursor of all the life events, right? Precursor of all the life events, and that is why it starts everything. And that, so author is essentially trying to emphasize on the point in the entire passage that why love is the universal language, or we can say the language of the world. So that is what it is trying to signify over here. So whenever something like this comes up, it's a literary art. It doesn't mean directly what is saying. There has to be a hidden meaning over there. So that is the meaning. Since it precedes in both options B and C, it is written that love precedes everything else. But here in option B, it talks about love is older than only humanity and the desert. But in this, it talks about it precedes everything. And also, this part is very important, language of the world. That is why C is the correct answer. Okay. Harsha, it mentions, look at this, the language that everyone on earth was capable of understanding in their heart. It was love. And then this statement is given. It's clearly mentioned, right? Oh, okay. It is present throughout the passage. But about this statement starts when the language of the universal language ends. Okay. Now the second question. The passage can be, okay, I'm just stepping aside so that you can see the passage and questions at once. The passage can be considered as an example of a or an. We have four options over here: bewilderment, epiphany, foolhardy, and cynicism. Harsha, language of the world doesn't essentially mean that you have to speak, just understand it. No. Among the options B and C, C captures the most of the essence of the paragraph. Isn't it, Harsha? Okay, now this one. I think a lot of people would not be knowing the meanings of these words. So that is why I have given a vocab dose. Let us discuss the meanings of the words over here. The first word is bewilderment. Bewilderment was easy. It is a feeling of being perplexed and confused. That is bewilderment. Yeah. Look at the meanings. Abhimanyu, don't worry. I'm Imran. Look at this. Second is epiphany, a usually sudden manifestation or perception of the essential nature or meaning of something. So epiphany is majorly like it talks about manifestation, perception. It talks about things which are hidden, which are secretive, the things which are very spiritual, and something which is more of the metaphysical domains. The things which are not present in the face, but you can always feel that. So that kind of things are manifestations or perceptions. When something talks about these kind of things, the tone usually is an epiphany. Foolhardy. Foolhardy is reckless or without regard for the possible consequences. So कुछ लोग होते हैं कि they do anything without thinking what the consequences will be. Like they start smoking or drinking or being a drug addict and do a lot of things without thinking of the consequence. That is foolhardiness. Fourth, cynicism, an inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self-interest. I think I have discussed this word cynicism in my some of my class. Um, one of my classes I discussed this. An inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self-interest. So now let us go back to the question and tell me what can the answer be. Most of people are saying that it is B, epiphany. Now, the people who could not answer the question because they did not know the meaning, now expecting the answers from them. Right, and cynicism बताया था. ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में रह जाता हूँ यश, वो इसीलिए कि मीनिंग्स नहीं पता, एंड दैट इज द रीजन दैट आई एम पुटिंग इन vocab doses in my classes. Imran, loving at first sight is foolhardy. Okay. Chalo. So everybody got the answer as B. Of course, it is B. The entire passage is spiritual. It talks more about the feelings, manifestations, and perceptions. So, as you know the meanings now, nobody will be confused. It's essentially epiphany. It is not bewilderment. He is not perplexed. He is not being a fool. He is not being a cynic, also. The entire passage is an epiphany. Rawness cynicism means a belief in which, see, an inclination to believe that people are motivated purely by self interest, that is cynicism. कि हम बोलते हैं ना हर कोई मतलबी ही है, हर कोई स्वार्थी है, that is being cynical. Okay? Now coming to question number 3. Which among the following can be inferred from the passage? Inferred from the passage. A. The boy is in the presence of the love of his life. B. One hand in the last paragraph implies the God. C. The mentioned language that the world understands is either English or Farsi. D. Both A and B. Swati, the entire paragraph is an example of epiphany. हर एक लाइन epiphany है स्वाति. Yeah. What can be inferred? Sadhana says A, Amartya says A, Nilesh, Vishal, Shubham, they say D. D is the correct answer. It can be clearly inferred that when the boy is looking at that girl and he is totally dumbfounded after looking at her, that means he's present in the love of his life. What is inference? Inference is, getting to know something by from the pointers given to us. So deriving something unknown from something which is known. All right. So yeah, the boy is present in love of his life. Why, how do we know that? Because he's feeling those kind of things which are very spiritual, and that is why we can understand that he's present in love of his life. And one hand in the last paragraph implies the God, of course, because if you look at it, one hand which wrote the destinies or which wrote the all the happenings and occurrences which will be there. So that was one hand which is writing for both of them. So that hand can be, of course, a supreme power, better known as the God. So D, both A and B is the correct answer. That was the questions were easy, and now let us move on to the next passage. Those who joined late can watch this one again, and let us continue with the passage 2. It's called as the camel driver. And look at these animations. I created, it took me close to 7 hours to create this entire presentation just to make you feel comfortable connected to the class. And when you start feeling like a lot of people tell me that while we solve the arts, we're not able to answer the questions. And that happens because you are not trying to imagine whatever is written in the passage. And by using all these illustrations, I am just forcing your mind to start imagining about things which you are reading. Okay? Yeah. So thanks for the kind words, and you're welcome. But at the same time, I want you to start imagining about things that you will read. Okay? Yeah, Kunal, that's right. If it is directly mentioned in the passage, that can be eliminated. Now coming to the passage. Software was nothing, just simple PowerPoint, advanced PowerPoint actually, with some new plugins. Okay, so this is the passage. One could open a book to any page or book at a person's or look at a person's hand. We do one thing, read this on your own. I'm giving you 3 minutes and then we'll discuss the questions. I'll discuss the passage once. There might be some words or phrases which might be difficult for people. See, we cannot take RC sessions based on a lot of books, but of course, I can take some books in other sessions, like one passage from one book. One could open a book to any page or look at a person's hand. One could turn a card or watch the flight of the birds. Whatever the thing observed, one could find a connection with the experience of the moment. So, काफी simple है ये line तो. Actually, it wasn't that those things in themselves revealed anything at all. It was just that people looking at what was occurring around them could find a means of penetration to the soul of the world. So it happens like you do something, like a same thing is done by different people, but all of them realize it differently. All of them have different perceptions. So it doesn't depend on what things are you observing. It depends on how you observe things. Okay? Now, when it talks about find the means of penetration to the soul of the world, that means the soul of the world essentially metaphor used for how the world behaves. It is the physical as well as metaphysical occurrences of the entire world or the entire universe. They were known as seers. Who are seers? Seers are those people who tell you the future. Who tell you the future. Okay? ऐसे लोग मिलेंगे आपको जो भविष्य के बारे में बात करें. They are seers. And they were held in fear by women and the elderly. Tribesmen were also wary of consulting them. Tribesmen कौन होते हैं? The people, as the name suggests, the people who belong to certain tribes, the members of a tribe. और यहाँ पे we are talking about the desert, so they are essentially desert people, the tribes which are the warrior tribes, etc. Okay. Tribesmen were also wary of consulting them because it would be impossible to be effective in battle if one knew that he was fated to die. सही बात है. अगर आप वॉरियर हो, आपको मालूम पड़ गया है कि आप मरने वाले हो उस लड़ाई में, तो आप लड़ोगे ही नहीं, सही से लड़ नहीं पाओगे. एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द मेनी रीजंस दैट लॉट ऑफ पीपल डू नॉट वांट टू नो अबाउट देयर फ्यूचर, राइट. बट ऐसा होता है कि कभी कई बार होता है कि देयर आर पीपल हु आर योर ओन रिलेटिव्स हु टेल यू द फ्यूचर बट दे डोंट टेल अबाउट योर फ्यूचर, क्योंकि उन्हें लगता है कि आप परेशान ना हो जाओ. सो दैट इज वाई द ट्राइब्समैन, द वॉरियर्स, दे डिड नॉट कंसल्ट विद द सीयर्स. The tribesmen preferred the taste of battle. जो वॉरियर है वो तो वॉर करेगा ही, तो दे preferred the taste of battle and the thrill of not knowing what the outcome would be. है ना, जब पता ही नहीं है क्या होने वाला है, मजा उसी में है ना. अगर मालूम पड़ गया सब कुछ क्या होने वाला है, कल आपको मालूम पड़ जाए कैट में आपका 99 परसेंटाइल आएगा ही आएगा, तो आप पढ़ना छोड़ दोगे, राइट. तो जो थ्रिल है, द थ्रिल ऑफ प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर एनी बैटल, बी इट कैट और बी इट दिस, the thrill is there. You do not want to know the future. So the future was already written by Allah, and what He had written was always for the good of man. So the tribesmen lived only for the present because the present was full of surprises and they had to be aware of many things. Okay, so they lived in the present. अब कोई वॉरियर को प्रेजेंट में क्या क्या चीजें जाननी है, क्या क्या चीजें जाननी है. Where was the enemy's sword? दुश्मन की तलवार कहाँ है? Where was his horse? उसका घोड़ा कहाँ है? What kind of blow should one deliver next in order to remain alive? किस तरह से हमें हथियार चलाना है कि हम जिंदा बच सकें? The camel driver was not a fighter and he had consulted with seers. Some camel driver was there. वो फाइटर नहीं था तो उसने seer से कंसल्ट किया. Many of them had been right about what they said, while some had been wrong. Then one day, the oldest seer he had ever sought out, in the bracket, and the one most to be feared, had asked why the camel driver was so interested in the future. So the passage ends here. Let us start with the questions. Yeah, Utkarsh, in CAT, there is a blend of 4 RC passages are there. Ideally, one is easy, 2 are moderate, and 1 is difficult. Sometimes 1 is easy, 1 moderate, 2 difficult. That is how it happens. Moreover, IIM Bangalore is going to make the paper this time, and IIM Bangalore is famous for giving easy passages. Okay. IIM Bangalore आसान पैसेज दिया करता है. उन्होंने 5 साल पहले बनाया था. Here goes the first question. The first question asks, from the given passage, what can be said about the tribesmen? We have 4 options over here. Think and answer. Okay, we have some people on the YouTube as well. Is this the first lecture? No. Pratigya, thanks for that. Good evening, everyone on YouTube. Okay, so here we are getting the answers. D. Okay. The first option is tribesmen used to consult the seers for everything. Tribesmen were fearsome of battle. C. Tribesmen lived cautiously, planning their future. None of these. Okay, no prize for guessing. This is a very direct data question. Directly लिखा हुआ है, tribesmen did not consult the seers because they did not want to know the future. They were fighters essentially. Fearsome of battle तो हो ही नहीं सकता, उनका काम ही fighting था. And tribesmen lived cautiously. No, the people who would be fighters would not live cautiously ever. So none of these is the correct answer. Next question. Which of the following is true according to the passage? Shubham, you can expect LRDI to be moderately difficult level, to be of and the quant will be moderate. Quant will be moderate, LRDI will be a bit difficult, and BRC would be towards the easy side. The audio was gone for some time. मैं बोल रहा था कुछ चीजें मतलब basically I was reading the question, nothing else. I was just reading the question, nothing else. I didn't explain anything. Okay, so now I'm looking at the options. A lot of people are marking B and then C and D and everything. Okay. So if you read the, these lines, open a book to any page, look at a person's hand, turn a card, watch the flight of the birds. So which of the following is not similar to the first few clauses? हाँ, previous question का D है. D. For the previous question, second question answer was The answer was D. It was a very direct database question. Now, tell me about this one. We are talking about question 3 now. One could paint a landscape, one could travel to the horizon, one could sleep to dream, one could walk to church. Okay, so this one, as I said, can be difficult, and very few people have answered it correct. The correct answer, sorry, the correct answer over here is one could sleep to dream. A lot of people have marked A, B, and D. C is correct. I'll tell you why. Okay, those who have marked C, tell me your reasoning. Why do you think C is correct? Trishal, no, no, nothing. It's just camel driver. Just mention it over there because I had to create some kind of, uh, a graphic. That's it. And camel driver, it was, if you read the novel, you will understand that is not a part of the passage essentially. But if you're talking about the novel, then camel driver was just accompanying them. He was accompanying the tribesmen. Sid Vyas, yeah, it is not physical work. Exactly. Exactly. See, in the other things, landscape is something which is physical, horizon is physical, church is physical. They are real things. Landscape is real, horizon is real, church is also real. They are real physical objects. But dream is not a real physical object. That is why C is not correct. All right. Yeah. So in option C, you can dream about anything, but they are not physical objects. Horizon, Hemant, horizon मतलब होता है क्षितिज. When you stand, आप बीच पे गए हो कभी? Standing on the beach and looking at the sea, the place where sea and the sky meets. समंदर और आसमान जहां मिलता है, that is horizon. Okay. Now here goes the next passage. Okay, there's one thing, as I told you, that all of you are advised to write a summary of all the passages that I am discussing over here and put it in the comments on the group. Not the comments, on the group itself. Make a post and passage 1, your interpretation, passage 2, passage 3, passage 4. At least do one. At least do one, all of you. Okay? One of your favorite ones. Pyramids. The passage is, when he reached the top of the dune, his heart leapt. What is dune? What is dune? Vedic? No, no, no. It's not the first RC class for last batch. Not like that. RC classes are, they can be watched and it's kind of a circular flow for RC classes. You can watch anytime from anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, you'll get a recording of that as well. Dunes are essentially hills of sand. Exactly. When the sand flows to one place and it gets collected over there, a conical shape is formed that is called the dune. His heart leapt. There, illuminated by the light of the moon and the brightness of the desert, stood the solemn and majestic pyramids of Egypt. Has any one of you gone to Egypt to see the pyramids? Anybody? The pyramids are huge. Time to read. Okay, okay, I'm reading with you. Well, the boy fell to his knees and wept. He thanked God for making him believe in his personal legend and for leading him to meet a king, a merchant, an Englishman, and an alchemist. And above all, for his having met a woman of the desert who had told him that love would never keep a man from his personal legend. If we wanted to, he could now return to the oasis, go back to Fatima, and live his life as a simple shepherd. So, what has happened till here? That this man has met a lot of people, but he is very happy about meeting a woman of the desert who told him that if that love is the most powerful emotion, and that is how you can have your personal legend. That means you can also be a legend. You can also have a story to tell to people. So this is what he learned, and he could very well go back to Fatima and live his life as a simple shepherd. But after all, the alchemist continued to live in the desert, even though he understood the language of the world and knew how to transform lead into gold. Lead into gold. सुना है आपने वो भारत में पारस पत्थर जो लोहे को सोने में बदल देता है? He didn't need to demonstrate his science and art to anyone. The boy told himself that on the way toward realizing his own personal legend, he had learned all he needed to know and had experienced everything he might have dreamed of. अब वो काफी खुश है, he's satisfied. He's satisfied. But here he was at the point of finding his treasure, and he reminded himself that no project is completed until its objective has been achieved. You know, I want to tell you something. यहाँ तक पढ़ने पे क्या मालूम पड़ता है, मतलब I feel very motivated. I don't know about you, but you should also feel motivated. The reason, see, we normal people do not even see all those things which this guy has already seen. And after seeing everything, after understanding everything, and after getting to know the meaning of his life, the motive of his life, still he believes in one thing. And he believes in that if I have started something, I need to finish it. Okay, even after being totally satisfied. This is the extreme level of ambition. The time you can reach a level at which you'll feel you have everything. Still, you will have to continue. You can never give up. And the problem here is that some people give up even after achieving any kind of knowledge. They do not achieve anything, still they give up because they feel it is very difficult. So we should get motivation by this, right? ये आप लोग बहुत डिप्रेस हो जाते हो कि मैं आरसी पढ़ रहा हूँ, बीच में बोर हो जा रहा हूँ, मैं क्वांट लगा रहा हूँ, सवाल नहीं आ रहा. अभी तो हम सब बहुत ही छोटे लेवल पे हैं. इतना कुछ जानने के बाद दिस गाय इज नॉट गिविंग अप. दैट शुड मोटिवेट यू, राइट? Get the BMW. I hope everybody gets a piece of it. The boy looked at the sands around him and saw that where his tears had fallen, a scarab beetle, it's a kind of beetle, a desert beetle, a scarab beetle was scuttling through the sand. ठीक है, जहां जहां आंसू गिर रहे थे वहां पे एक बीटल आके खोद रहा था सैंड को. During his time in the desert, he had learned that in Egypt, the scarab beetles are a symbol of God and other omen. The boy began to dig into the dune. As he did so, he thought of what the crystal merchant had once said, that anyone could build a pyramid in his backyard. अब ये वो लोग होते हैं जिनको पता कुछ नहीं होता लेकिन आपको ज्ञान देते हैं. ये तो कोई भी कर लेगा, ऐसा बोलते हैं लोग. But now boy realized, the boy could see now that he could not do so if he placed stone upon stone for the rest of his life. So pyramids are so huge, hundreds of feet. उतना आप अगर पत्थर रखते जाओ पूरी जिंदगी तब भी बना नहीं पाओगे. That is why the boy realized after seeing the pyramid in reality. Okay. Throughout the night, the boy dug at the place he had chosen, but found nothing. Found nothing. अब यहां क्या हो रहा है? आप मेहनत कर रहे हो, सफलता मिल नहीं रही. Right? He felt weighted down by the centuries of time since the pyramids had been built. But he didn't stop. But he didn't stop. He struggled to continue digging as he fought the wind, which often blew the sand back into the excavation. कमाल की बात है ना, हर चीज आपके खिलाफ जा रही है, आप मेहनत कर रहे हो, सफलता मिल नहीं रही, जो मेहनत कर रहे हो वो भी खराब हो जा रही है. His hands were abraded and exhausted, but he listened to his heart. He listened to his heart. It had told him to dig where his tears fell. Now look at how deep this line is. It is giving me goosebumps. Even I have read Alchemist, I think 20s of times, but it had told him to dig where his tears fell. जहां पे आप बिल्कुल टूट जाओगे, आप रो रहे होगे, वहां भी आपको मेहनत करनी होगी. That is the only way to live. That is what the entire passage talks about. Do you get this feeling? Do you get that kind of message, motivation, or perception? Aditya, abrade means आपके हाथ पूरे छिल गए, you know, bruises. So listening to your heart is the most important thing. And when you understand the language of the world, you will continue doing your work. Digging your own wounds to get better, right? Now let us look at the first question. Which figure of speech has been used in the first line of the passage? A. Personification. B. Hyperbole. C. Simile. D. Imagery. Okay, now I'll tell you the meaning. Personification. Personification, जैसा कि नाम बोल रहा है, इसे in Hindi we call it मानवीकरण. For CBSE board guys, it's called मानवीकरण, personification. It means attributing the living traits to non-living things. For example, the wind blew. The wind blew. That is personification. Hyperbole is exaggeration. किसी बात को हम बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोले. In Hindi it is called as अतिशयोक्ति. अतिशयोक्ति. बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोलना कि उसने बाहुबली ने एक पहाड़ उखाड़ लिया. That is hyperbole, exaggeration. Simile is comparison between two things, and with the usage of word like or as. He is as good as something. तो ये simile हो गया. And D is imagery. Imagery is the things are written in such a way that you start feeling that they are in front of you. Okay, a lot of images are created by writing. That is called imagery. All right, that is called imagery. So tell me, what do you think the correct answer is? Some people say D, some people say A, some people say B as well. Okay. फर्स्ट लाइन सिर्फ यहां तक नहीं है, थोड़ा सा मेरा टाइपिंग हुआ है ये. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द फर्स्ट टू लाइन्स एसेंशियली, यू नो, नॉट जस्ट द फर्स्ट लाइन. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट टिल हियर, टिल इजिप्ट. वेन से लेके इजिप्ट तक. फ्रॉम वेन टू इजिप्ट. Okay, after reading this, आपके दिमाग में पिरामिड्स दिखाई नहीं दे रहे आपको सामने? You know, he reached the top of dune, his heart leapt, illuminated by the light of the moon and the brightness of the desert stood the solemn and majestic pyramids of Egypt. तो सामने दिखाई नहीं लगा? इसे पढ़ते ही आपके सामने पिरामिड्स दिखने लगे होंगे, दर्शन होंगे पिरामिड्स के. It is imagery, you know. The words which have been used over here, and personification लोग इसलिए बोल रहे होंगे कि उन्हें लगा heart leapt, इसलिए लगा होगा probably stood the solemn and majestic pyramids. So stood का मतलब हमेशा living नहीं होता. Standing, like when we say stood the mountain, it doesn't mean that it is actually standing. तो stand के दो मतलब होते हैं, एक वो कि हम खड़े हैं, दूसरा ये कि वहां पे वो चीज है. So D is the right answer. Pyramids, desert, moon सब दिख रहा है. Heart leapt, रोहित. Heart leapt personification. हाँ, सिर्फ heart leapt की बात करेंगे, that is personification, and that is why I told you it's 2 lines. Okay. ओवरऑल पैसेज के लिए भी इमेजरी ही है, मतलब मैक्सिमम जिसमें यूज किया दैट इज इमेजरी ओनली. इनफैक्ट ऑल द फैंटेसी नॉवेल्स, ऑल द फैंटेसी स्टोरीज हैव लॉट ऑफ इमेजरी. हाँ, लेफ्ट पर्सोनिफिकेशन द प्रतीक, राइट. दैट्स व्हाई आई टोल्ड यू दैट वी हैव टू यूज बोथ द लाइंस. एंड जो सबसे ज्यादा जो यूज हुआ है, सबसे ज्यादा जो चीज यूज हुई है, दैट इज imagery. That is why imagery is the correct answer. If it is only first line, then the answer is personification. खुशी, why not hyperbole? There is no exaggeration. कुछ चीज बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोलने को हम hyperbole कहते हैं. कुछ भी बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोला ही नहीं यहाँ पे. Okay. Question number 2. According to the passage, why did the boy continue in his pursuit? A. Fatima was not as important as treasure is. B. Love without money would have no meaning. C. He was greedy of the treasure. D. He realized that a task started should be finished. Shivani, personification is when non-living things behave like living things. For example, the wind blew. The river crawled. That is personification. खुशबू, डेजर्ट के अंदर ना कुछ चीजें होती नहीं है, सिर्फ डेजर्ट है जो हल्की सी रोशनी चमकना शुरू कर देता है, डेजर्ट के पार्टिकल्स, इसीलिए पिरामिड अच्छे से दिखाई देगा. दैट इज द रीजन. Okay, so first one says, okay, here of course it is kind of not very directly, but in a way it is given that he realized that when I explained that, when I explained the passage, I explained you the answer, I told you the answer itself. He realized that यही तो motivation था जो मैं इतना लंबा उसमें ज्ञान दिया था. He realized that a task should be finished. That is why he continued. D is correct, but I just got a very humorous comment, very interesting comment. सच्चाई बी में है. Love without money would have no meaning. मैंने ऐसे ही लिखा था ये. Okay. चलो, now we'll go to fourth passage. Harsh, your heart almost went with B. Okay. So now we'll be doing the fourth passage. That is called the Gypsy Soothsayer. Who is a soothsayer? Aditya, I answered that already. They are from the easy level of CAT, except one question which was moderately difficult. In fact, 2 questions were moderately difficult. As I said, IIM Bangalore is going to make the paper this time, so VARC, you can expect an easy VARC. And that is a good news for everyone. अगर VARC आसान आ गया तो काम काफ़ी अच्छा हो जाता है. Yeah, I mean, this is the last passage. We did it really quick. Yeah, soothsayer is a person who can actually see the future. Here goes the passage. I'm giving you 5 minutes to read this passage, and then we'll start discussing the questions. हाँ स्वाति, ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. हर टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं कैट में. आप कैट से डरते बहुत ज्यादा हो, इतने डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. जिप्सी. Who is gypsy? Gypsy एक tribe है. Gypsy is a tribe which is independent and they believe freedom and they do not follow the established rules of society. वो दूर रहते हैं, जो भटकते हैं, जो बेसिकली जिप्सीज ज़्यादातर आवारा लोग होते हैं. तो जिप्सी कल्चर था पहले, बहुत कॉमन था. रॉक एंड रोल कल्चर इन अमेरिकाज 70s 80s में. ये लोग सारे लोग नशा, गांजा फूकते थे, ये सारी चीज़ें करते थे, शराब वगैरह पीते थे. So they were gypsies. Basically became a tribe. Anurag, this time the hard section will be, see, what I feel. I feel that quant will be moderate and LRDI will be moderately difficult. बहुत difficult तो कुछ भी नहीं होगा. LRDI you can expect to be moderately difficult. First few words you can't see, Sahil. The woman sat down and told him to be seated as well. Then she took both of his hands in hers and began quietly to pray. Yeah, once upon a time in Hollywood में भी है, बिल्कुल सही आनंद. This is the last page, Amisha, yes. Vedic Vinod, CAD RC passages from last few years, उनका जो लेंथ है वो 350 वर्ड से 450 वर्ड्स के बीच में है. Before that, they were long. Okay, Vetik? Okay, so first one says gypsy often kidnapped children and made them their slaves. It isn't mentioned directly. Gypsies generally traveled without the flocks of sheep. Yeah, कुछ रखते हैं पास में अपने वो. Gypsies are believed to have pact with devil to perform tricks on others. Yeah, that's also correct. Gypsies are religious people. In this passage, this gypsy lady is actually religious, but that doesn't mean that all gypsies are religious, right? It doesn't mean that all gypsies are religious. That is why D is the correct answer. This gypsy lady from the passage is religious, but all will be religious. That is something which we cannot be sure of. That is why D is the correct answer. Question number 2. Which among the following can be inferred about the boy with respect to the passage? A. He has a fear of gypsies since he was a child. B. He is of limited means. C. He is religious. D. All of the above. And because we have done the RC real quick, and thanks to all of you that you guys were, really, you have become intelligent nowadays. So let's do one thing. Let's move on to the VA segment, and we'll do the para summary of all the RCs discussed over here right now. Here? The last line? Trishal, what happened? You came so that you could learn about your dreams, said the old woman. Yeah, after that, there are a lot of other things, but I have not made questions on that, so it is not actually relevant over there. Okay. What can be inferred? He has a fear of gypsy since he was a child. क्या ये बात सही है? Can we infer this? This statement is true, but this is not an inference. This is not an inference. Okay? देखना इस वाले में बहुत लोग गलत करने वाले हैं. अभी सबको लग रहा है कि बहुत आसान क्वेश्चन है, हम कर लेंगे, बट नो. अंजलि, what happened? अंजलि, any confusion over there? C नहीं, D true है अंजलि. Question 1 में D is true, not C. Look at this. अंजलि, got it? Gaurav, what happened? It is said that it was believed that they kidnapped. Just a minute. Previous question, I'm going to previous question once. ठीक है. Not a true statement है ना? अगर it is believed that they kidnapped, that means they often kidnapped. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है क्यों करते ही नहीं थे. But D तो confirm है कि नहीं है. So whenever there is a confusion between two statements, you have to mark the one which is most correct. Okay? Gaurav, got that? Now let me explain this one. He has a fear of gypsies since ये बात, this is a fact, it is not an inference. ये तो given है. Inference क्या होता है? मैंने पहले भी explain किया था इसी क्लास की शुरुआत में. Any derivation of something which is unknown from something which is known. All right. He is of limited means. ये बात हम infer नहीं कर रहे. He is religious. All of the above. Okay. So ये तो मतलब ये तो out of context है. This is something which is not even given in the passage. This is out of context. C. He is religious. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? As soon as the boy saw the figure of the Christ, he started. जो उसके दिमाग में डर था या उसके दिमाग में जो ट्रस्ट नहीं था उनके लिए, जिप्सी के लिए, वो ठीक ठाक वो he became calm and composed. He was a bit satisfied when he saw the figure of the Christ. That means this boy is religious. So this is a proper inference. And tell me how many of you did it correct. C is the correct answer. Amrit, you want to change to C? अब तो C होगा. This is something which we discussed, no? एक पिछला क्वेश्चन था जहां पे किसी ने पूछा भी था. Somebody asked कि if it is directly given, can it be inference? I said no. ऑप्शन बी का मीनिंग कि उसके पास पैसे कम थे. आयुष, लिमिटेड मीनिंग उसके पैसे कम थे. इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं पड़ा था. हाँ, ऐसे ही कैट में ना देखो क्या हुआ कि आज हमने कुछ क्लोज टू 15-16 सवाल किए हैं. इन 15-16 सवालों में 10 बहुत आसान थे, 3 मॉडरेट थे और 2 डिफिकल्ट थे. आप कैट को भी ऐसा ही कुछ एक्सपेक्ट करना, थोड़ा मॉडरेट बढ़ जाएगा उसमें. और जैसे ही डिफिकल्ट हुआ आंसर्स गलत होना शुरू हो गए. राइट प्रांशु, it's C because C is an inference. No. When the boy saw the Christ, the figure of Christ, he he started kind of believing in the lady. That means this guy believes in Christ. That means he is religious. त्रिशल आर फादर रिसाइट किया था, हाँ कर सकते हैं, बिल्कुल सही है त्रिशल. Okay, so that was actually a twist. Pratik, all question got correct. Perfect. Okay, parajumbles. Chetna, parajumbles, actually, I have some questions, but I cannot present on the screen right away. There's not a lot of technology involved over there. We can do one thing. We can start with the para summaries. Swati, क्या हो गया? बताओ. खुशबू, क्या बोल रही हो? 10 questions? हाँ, जो भी किए, मतलब एक तरह से ये था. Now, the next thing is we should be doing para summary, which is important. So every year you can expect 1 to 2 questions from para summary. Manish, two of the RCs have 350 words. The other two have 290 to 300 words. स्वाति, वो मेंशन था पैसेज में कि सीयर्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड थे, वो सोल ऑफ द वर्ल्ड थे. चलो, तो ये काम करते हैं. आफ्टर रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन हमने काफी कुछ कर लिया है. डू यू थिंक वी शुड स्टार्ट विद वीए? नॉट इन दिस सेशन, ऑफ कोर्स इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. पैरा जंबल्स फ्रॉम नेक्स्ट सेशन. Yeah, two of the RCs are more than 350 words and the other two are close to 300 words. स्वाति, क्या हो गया? तुम क्यों क्या बोलना चाहती हो? पोस्ट द क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली. चलो, लेट्स डू वन थिंग. I think it is looking short to a lot of Manish because you have read the Alchemist already. So, and this is looking easy because you all have read the Alchemist. एक बार आप उसका बैकग्राउंड जानते हो, ये इससे एक फील नहीं हुआ? When you know the background, it will be easy for you to actually answer the question. That is why we keep on saying that you should read a lot. Varied reading. Eon essays या वाकई चीज पढ़ने के. This is the reason. ठीक है. From the next session, we'll be doing combined para jumbles and odd one out for next 3 sessions. Challo. Now, next, let's do starting from the, okay, let's start from the passage 4 only. And everyone, I'm giving you 2 minutes to write a para summary of this passage. 2 minutes only. Pratik, tones ka, all right, this point is noted. If anybody has, they want to learn something extra, for example, Pratik is saying that he wants to learn about tones. All of you want to do that? We'll have an extra session for tones as well. Vyatik, RC is reading comprehension, VA is verbal ability. Verbal ability has three different type of questions: para jumbles, odd one out, and para summaries. Yeah, Imran, that will be done in paid group. Niharika, list of books, like right now, no book should be read because very, less time is left. But after the CAT is over, I'll recommend you to read at least 5 novels for your PI and WAT preparation. So let's start the para summary. Come on. Guys, for a while, type only the para summaries. Okay? Now I'm waiting for the para summary, the first para summary. Let's see who gives it first. You have only 3 minutes. Yeah, Anvit, we'll be having different kind of RCs. In fact, I take difficult, moderate, and everything. The passage is blurred, is it? Chalo, 3 minutes, I'm waiting. Yeah, Harshal. 3 RC should be done and then you should go for VA. That's the right approach. Amaya, two of the passages are the same length as a normal CAT exam and two are a bit shorter. I'm reading the para summaries. Um, Ashman Kohli, you have missed the part where he is digging the dune. Raghav, you have missed the part where he is thinking of going back to Fatima. So both the para summaries are not correct. Soumya has missed both the things. It's not correct. Others, yours doesn't look like a para summary. It looks like a one-liner critique. Anjali has done it better, but she also missed on Fatima. Satvik, you have missed on three important points. So, when you write a para summary, see, first para summary, I know that it won't be good from, I think, a lot of you. But from the second, you will get to know how to write a para summary. All the important points should be taken care of while writing. I'm reading Naveen's. Naveen has written the most perfect para summary till now. Well done, Naveen. Anandita, you have missed out on the Fatima's part. Devanshu has touched all the parts, all the important parts. Well done, Devanshu. There are a few grammatical errors, Devanshu Das, in your para summary, but you have touched upon all the points. Well done. Manish missed the Fatima's part, the women's part, basically. Pawan, you have also missed that. Diksha, you have also missed that. Trishal also has missed that. Rohit, yours, you have touched upon all the points. You could be a bit better. Shivani also missed on that. Rishabh, you have done a good job. Well done. Yeah, Nindita, you have mentioned indirectly. I'll read that again then. Amrit, you have missed out on the digging part, like he is still pursuing. Pranjal, you have made Fatima very important. She's not that important in the passage. So that's not a correct one. Anvit, that's a good job done. Very good. Alekhya, you have missed on two important parts. Amrit, you have touched all the parts. Grammatically, you have to be a bit better. देवी प्रसाद, वेल डन. ग्रामर थोड़ा थोड़ा सुधार सकते हो आप. Ashutosh has written the best para summary. Everybody, I recommend reading Ashutosh's para summary. Ashutosh, put this para summary as a post so that everybody can refer to it. Very good. The best one. Somadeep, you have done a good job. Yeah, Deepika, that's what I'm telling. And the way Ashutosh has written, that is the best way. Touching upon all the important points that were there in the passage, they have to be mentioned over there. Anand, you have written, it looks like, a critique, not a para summary. Fakhruddin, a bit more explanation is required. Apurva, you have done a very good job. Well done. Aniket, you also have done a good job. Janvi, you have written almost the entire para again. Janvi, you have to write the summary of the para, not the entire para, Janvi. You have written a lot. Well, so I think all of you have got an idea what to do. Now, going back to, let us do one more passage now. This one. Let's do this one. Yeah, Maya. In a para summary, for example, in that part, reaching the pyramids, thanking the Almighty, thinking about the people he has met, where Fatima has to be emphasized, then pursuing his dream, and coming over the difficulties. These six were the essential parts that had to be covered. This is the entire structure of para summary. It depends on passage to passage. The most important parts have to be rewritten. Good, like Gaurav just did. Perfect, Gaurav. Okay, now look at this and try to write it. This one would be a shorter para summary actually, because not lot of things have been discussed over here. Abhishek, what you have written is a good literature, but it is not a para summary. You have given in your own thoughts as well. Rishabh, you have explained the passage, but that's not the para summary. Adarsh, you have done a good job. That's the complete para summary. Kankan Talukdar, you have done it indirectly. You should be talking about seers also. Okay, Kankan? Kanha, good job. Anvit, you have not touched upon the important keywords, important points over here. So it's not a complete para summary. You can rewrite. Naveen, you have you can just shorten it. It's lot of words has been used in your para summary. It's right, but it can be shortened. Ameya, same thing with you. It's correct, but it can be shortened. Rohit, the way you have started it doesn't look right. A lot of things happen around. This looks like a WhatsApp language, but yeah, you have touched all the aspects, so it's a good try. Ronit, you have not touched upon all the points. Apur, you have done a good job. Nice. Diksha, yeah, that's right. But you have not mentioned the camel driver. Should mention him as well. Numan, you have done a good job. Samit, yeah, that's a good job. Anjali, you have explained the passage in your own words. That's not a para summary. Binny, you have done a good job. Arfin, Arfin, you have done a very good job. Nicely done. Chetna, you have mentioned the first part of the passage really well, but then you have lost the track. So it's not a para summary. Devi Prasad, you have written the entire passage again, so it can be reduced. Pranjal, you have done a good job. Atul, good job. Anindita, you have done a very good job. Do one thing, make a post of this. This is the best para summary for this passage. Well done, Anindita. Make a post. Like Ashutosh would make a post of previous one, and this is what you will make a post. Okay? Just type in the para summary to this passage. Raghav done a good job, but you have over explained the camel driver. Omkar, you have used the word locatiously. Do not use, do not introduce new words, which are rare, which are rarely used in language. So do not do that. Nilima, you are talking about giving a peace for the soul that is not required, that is not being talked directly in the passage. So do not, the first part of your para summary is not correct, but the later part is all right. Amrit Anurag, very well written. Vikas, yeah, perfectly done. Crisp and concise. Satvik, same. Crisp and concise. Fakhruddin, you have not touched upon the all the aspects. Harshit, well done. Kushbu, you have written the men's livelihood was means of penetration to soul of the world. That's wrong. That's a wrong interpretation. So you can correct it. Janmi, you have started with there are many means to penetrate the soul of world, but the passage is not emphasizing on the means to penetrate the soul. So that's something you have missed on. But all right. Harsh, you can rewrite the starting line, the beginning line. Pavan Satya, you can, just rewrite everything. There are some grammatical issues. Balayudan, who could be penetrated to the soul of world? No. Who could penetrate the soul of world? That's a grammatical error over there. Krishna, you have done a good job. Well written. Soumya, you have written it really well, but the problem is uh, you can reduce the length. It's very long, and it's not a para summary essentially. Sayan Bhaduri, yeah, it's good job, but the first sentence needs to be shortened. Ashutosh, you have done a very good job again. Well done. But Anindita, this time you will post it. Aniket, the way you have written it, it looks like you're writing a critical valuation by the opening sentence it meant. So do not write it like that, no? Gaurav, you have touched all the aspects, but you can just reduce the length. Some words are, some words you have used are redundant. They can be, they can be removed from there. Imran, you've done a good job. And with grammatical issues, Ashman, you have used the word deflesh these meanings. As I said, do not introduce new, rarely used words in para summaries. That's not allowed. Aditya, you written, very direct statements. It looks like you're writing another passage, but yeah, you have tried to do a good job. प्रफुल्ल प्रफुल्ल का क्रिटिकल कमेंट है. आयुष, या राइट आयुष, यू हैव डन अ गुड जॉब, वेल डन. शायब अनवर, या गुड जॉब. आनंद कुमार, गुड. Anindita, I did not just cover your summary. I also said that I want your summary to be posted in the group so that others can refer to it. You have done an excellent job over there. Congratulations. Devanshu, very good. Niladri, very good. Sanjay, good. So I think now people have understood what all things have to be covered. Devanshu did not miss yours. Harshita, well done. Harshvardhan, that's very long. Please reduce the length. रोनित, हाँ, एक दो लाइन की पीएस आती है, बट अभी आपको वहां लिखने को भी नहीं आती ना, पहले से लिखी रहती है. और वो पैरा भी छोटा होता है, वो हार्डली 150 वर्ड्स का होता है, राइट रोनित? बट अभी तो आप प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो ना उस चीज के लिए. या यश, राइट. गुड. मोहित, गुड. एवरीवन हैज रिटन ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग. अभिषेक पांडे, यू शेयर you share my name. Good job. Well written. Khushbu also done good. Oh, okay. I have missed someone. Swati. Yeah, Swati, this is an improvement, but you can improve a bit more. Priyanshal, you use like person. There's some seers who earn the living by predicting the future. No need of writing this line, otherwise it's good. Swati, as you yourself said, the camel's part, you know. So just read the people written it really well, and you'll be able to get it. Okay, so here I'd like to end the session and really enjoyed it a lot. You guys are really interactive and fun to teach. And we did some really good stuff today, even the para summaries, but we'll do more of it. Like in the next three sessions, I'm planning to take verbal ability only, para jumbles, odd one out, and para summaries. So that will be the best part about it. Anjali, nice. That's a nice quote from Pride and Prejudice. Cool. So, thank you. Good night, everyone. We'll meet again day after tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll post some questions from the Alchemist, some difficult questions. I'd expect you to write the answers. And Ashutosh and Anindita, post your para summaries over there. Let us meet day after tomorrow then. Thank you, Ayush. Thanks, Imran. Pratik, I'll do that at tones class, of course. Shubhratri. Chalo. Great. Bye bye. Good night. Swati wrote the paragraph first time. You will improve. Thanks, Naveen. Bye.